So I mean, like, you don't have to do anything I say, but I'm just gonna. So when you're going in, I love how you're just right there in the middle. You're right in the middle. You kind of lean a little bit heavy right there to your outside butt cheek, and that is going to actually squeeze a horse to the right. You know how, like, if you take one step with your butt cheek to the left, you bring the horse to the left momentarily. But if you stay out there, you see how, like, the weight of your going down onto that horse's saddle is heavy on your left butt cheek. That's going to kind of squeeze a horse to the right if you stay that way for two strides. So one stride, you'll typically get a horse to step to the left under your body weight, but the longer you stay to the left, the more that they squeeze like toothpaste out of a tube the opposite direction. So so that's why your hands are having to kind of get involved and kind of hold this horse out from diving in. I call it church girl syndrome. If you hold a horse like this, you can kind of get away with maintaining the horse, where you want it to go. However, when you let go of the reins and let that sucker do its thing, he's going to dive in, just like the church girl. You raise that girl in the church, she never has an opportunity to screw up. You send her to college, she lets the entire Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity run a train on her ass the first weekend party. So anyway, let's stay. You start out really, really nice in the middle. If you need to go to the left to kind of pop that horse a little bit more in the middle, if you'd like, do it once, but then you got to get back to the middle, cowboy. Okay. And then I love this. This horse is just like really coming in. It's a really, really nice barrel. He's really making a good entry. You're there. You're kind of maintaining a bit with the reins, but not heavy by any means. This is my favorite part. You drop that hand and you let that sucker in. You let him in. You let him work. And look how he works. Your hand is forward. You're like, you do it, buddy. I trained you. By golly, you ought to be able to fucking do it. It's a simple pattern. You're doing wonderful. Right there, you kind of help. You're not being obsessive or bossy. You're just helping. And it is just beautiful. And then as soon as you've got that sucker's front end tracked, where all he has to do is make a straight line, your body gets right in the middle. You're right there where you need to be. You're rolling forward with them. You've got a beautiful driving seat. Let me back this up. This is called the driving seat. You can really accelerate a horse forward from if he's lost any momentum or anything like that with that seat. I love seeing that seat. And now we're just your legs are going with his locomotion. It's really beautiful. You're staying right in the middle. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Right here, we think we need to get involved. I think you could drive that horse and get away with it. And if you can't, by golly, drop a hammer. So right there, when you kind of like, hey, there's a turn coming. Okay, horse, you should know this by now, like McKay doesn't need to be telling you, hey, guess what? We have another turn. So kind of start to make this horse become accountable for his actions and develop some independence. You kind of see how he kind of yanks his head up and then he drops. When you've gotten involved there, when you're rating or checking. So kind of see what happens if you don't have to do that. Right here, he's getting low. I would not lift that horse. I would enjoy that low stuff right there because I love it. Look how loose your reins are. It's really nice. You're letting this horse work. You're letting him work. Here, you're just making like an appearance with your hand. It's moderate. It's so light. It's just attentive and it's helpful, and I love it. Look at how your body weight is centered on both butt cheeks. Your shoulders are moving in order so that you're not just like dumped over or leaned over, but your butt cheeks and your body weight is centered with this sucker. It's just beautiful. I could watch a run like this all day long. Now, he kind of left the turn a little bit early and he got a little bit strong right there. And in a tuning, you might address it in a run. I'd just play the ball where it lies. But I think if you got that sucker right here and said, hey, come here to me, damn it, you better finish this turn, it might be a little bit better. But again, if we are checking and getting involved right here, oftentimes we make the horse too strong right here. He is trying to get away from this right here. You've been riding horses long enough. You know how like a horse has a spot in a circle, especially at the house closest to the barn, where they kind of fade away? And every time you get there, you struggle. Every time you get there, you struggle. So what I tell people is 4 or 5 strides before you get there, start to get in your horse's business a little bit. Get them like, on you and not the barn, and it helps. They're always going to want to go to the barn. It's just part of it. Hell, we all want to clock out of work. So because of that strength right there, he got a little bit, just not with you. And there he's starting to dive in because he's already gotten strong. He's diving. You're doing what you can. I like to see a rider that when they're trying to save a run, they've got both hands involved. You're not outside reining him. You're maintaining with both reins. It's a very smart move. Don't ever lose that. However, I think we can get this horse a little bit more honest. You see how he's real straight there? It's going to make it really, really cost effective on your time in order to get this turn. See, we're already losing the turn. We've lost the turn. He's gotten a little bit bouncy. Now he's gotten strong. And so, yeah, there's that. That's just my casual observation. So let me go back. Here's what I'd do. I would stay right in the middle and let that sucker go wherever he wants to go. And if he right here wants to dive in, I would take both reins and my spur and kind of yank him over to the left and then drop him again and be like, can you make a better choice? And then of course, when I get right there is where I'm gonna, I want to get their hips past the barrel. When I get right there-ish, that's where I kind of flip them around a few times, like just really spin them on their ass. Maybe I'll take my my bridle rein if I have splits, or if I carried a stick whip with me, I'll kind of knock the shit out of the shoulder and just wake them up right there. And again, I'm going to let them carry me in. If they dive in too early, I don't mind a horse diving into a barrel. Just make sure you dive in at the right spot, sucker. If they dive in too early, then I'm going to take both reins and my inside spur and knock them over in the opposite direction of the dive, but just one stride. I'm not going to pick up. I'm not going to side pass. All that stuff does is make the horse dread and crash more. So you got to make those quick fixes. It's kind of like a kid, you can't give a kid a lecture every time he screws up. Sometimes you just got to look at him and pop him over the head and say, straighten the hell up, instead of giving him a freaking lecture. So it's the same with these horses. They do better with a pop over the head than they do a lecture. And then I would take this horse and wait until the hip gets clear right there. I'm going to spin this sucker around. I'm going to spin him a few times and just take that. I don't want to take the leave out of him, but I dang sure want to back that leave up. And then coming down here again, right there. You see where he changes his angle, where he's almost going on the wrong side of the barrel? That is where just what your hands are doing. You've got both reins in your hand, and you've got the inside rein more than the outside rein. However, instead of holding and church girling this sucker, I would take those reins and that spur, I would take that inside spur and rake it up his shoulder and plant his ass in the direction like he's trying to run over those 3 yellow trees behind the barn. Like the low side of the mountain. God, it's so pretty out there. I should just come up there. And then but it's got to be quick and there's got to be a release. You can't hold these horses' hands, by golly. And I think that would really, really help right there. So I like to do squares. I'll draw a little picture of my square pattern and send that to you. This horse is freaking nice. Yeah.